Hello everyone and welcome, it's Alexandra. I'm very excited to start our series of tutorials which will be dedicated to the making of the Natural History mini book, this one right here. Today we are going to work on the page 1 from the book, and also we are going to talk about the general tools and supplies that you are going to need for completing this project. Please make sure to check the description box below this video for the links to the kit and the overview of the book. Now, once you download your kit, you of course have to print out the pages. And here I want to mention the kind of paper that I use for printing my pages. I like to print on the ivory cream colored cardstock. I have an Epson EcoTank printer, and I like to use the Astro Brights cardstock. I buy it at Walmart. It is cream color, and that's the weight of the paper. It is good both for laser printing and inkjet printers, and there are 50 sheets in the pack that once again I buy at Walmart. You are welcome to use any other cardstock that you think works best for your printer, but I thought that I would mention the kind of the cardstock that I like to use. I also think that when you print on the cream colored cardstock, the images turn out way brighter than when printed on the white cardstock. Besides the printed out digital papers from the kit, we're going to use craft cardstock a little bit later, not today, for creating the binding and for backing up some of the elements in our book. And I use the craft cardstock from Joann. That's how it's called, Park Lane Solid Core. There are also 50 sheets in the pack, and I guess it's this number, the 65, means the weight of the paper. So that's the craft cardstock that we're going to use. We're also going to need medium weight chipboard for creating the covers of our album, and I will make sure to include the link to the medium weight chipboard that I like to use. It's from the Graphics brand. You're also going to need fabric for wrapping the covers and for creating the spine of the book. I like to use muslin, just plain muslin, one of the cheapest fabrics probably. You can also use cotton, and I would suggest using the cream colored cotton so that it can be easily distressed on the edges and also stamped on for creating the spine. Another thing that we're going to need is acetate, and for this project specifically I will be using various offcuts that I have. We are going to use scoreboard, rulers, needle tool, bone folder, craft knife, scissors, of course, glue. This is something that I don't even mention because these are some basic tools that I'm sure most of you use when you work on any other paper related project. I'm going to use the Art Glitter wet glue and also the tacky glue from Aleene's, and I will also use the glue stick for adhering the fabric to the chipboard covers. Now, special attention should be given to punches. Most of the punches that we are going to need are circle punches, and the sizes that I think we're going to use the most are the 2-inch diameter circle punch, 1 1/4, 1 inch, 3/4, then 1/2 inch circle punch, and we are also going to use the 1/4 inch circle punch, and that's the one that I have. I will use my self-healing mat on the surface of the table because we will need to use our ruler and the craft knife for cutting out the elements for our book. Now, from the printed pages of the kit that you have, and there are 33 of them in total, you're going to need for today's part of our tutorial only 5 pages. This is the base of the first page. We're going to need this page here for creating the pockets and some other elements like the belly band here. Then this is the page with the tags. This page includes the seeds envelopes. And this is the last 5th page for today with the large tag and some other elements here at the bottom of the page. Something else that I do want to pay your attention to is how you print your pages. Not the paper on which you print, but actually how you print them. If you are printing the PDF, which you should have been able to download if you purchase the kit, you will have to print the pages in actual size. This will save you a lot of trouble. Now, if you are printing the JPEGs, you will have to print all of them the same. So if you use the function of fit to page, or you are using the function of fill the page, or whatever else setting that you have for your printer, it's important that all the 33 pages of the kit would be printed the same way, so that the sizes of the pages and the pockets and various flaps that I have included in the kit stay unchanged. It's important and really crucial for the successful work on this project. Your page can be a little bit different from mine in terms of measurements based on the settings of the printer that you are using, but I will talk about those measurements and I will tell you where to measure and how to measure and how to cut the paper so that everything works together nicely when the time comes. But just remember that all of the pages have to be printed out with the same settings. The base page in my album will measure 6 3/8 long, and it will be 4 3/8 of an inch wide. Depending on this measurement right here, 6 3/8, you will need to cut the paper at a later stage for creating the binding. And also based on the size of this section of each base page, we will need to create the cover for our journal, but we are going to talk about it later. I just want you to pay attention at those measurements, and we're going to get back to them once we get to the stage of creating the cover. So right now I am going to use my long ruler and a craft knife, and I will cut the base page out. And here we have it. Now we need to create a score line along the flap here at the bottom, and I like to use for this purpose a ruler and a needle tool. I have already explained in some of my previous tutorials that you can by all means use your scoreboard, but I just like to use two of these items because I like it better. So I line the ruler up along the very thin white line which is visible on the printout, and then with the needle tool I will score a line along the edge of the ruler. I will hold the needle tool not at a straight angle to the surface of my desk, but I will hold it angled almost parallel to my desk, and that ensures that I don't scratch the paper too much because of course we don't want that to happen. So I am making sure that I pass it along the edge of the ruler. Then you can just fold this flap while you still hold the ruler in place. And you can use your bone folder for that as well. Now when you flip the page and you fold the flap back inside like so, you will then line up the corners of the base page like so. Make sure that they do not move, and then you will use your bone folder for reinforcing that fold along the side of our base page. That's how it will look like. And again, I remind you that my page measures 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. Yours can be a little bit different, which is fine. For the pockets, this is the page that we are going to need. Of course, we need to cut out all the elements, and I will again use my ruler and a craft knife for that purpose. For cutting along the straight lines, which are long, I always use the craft knife and ruler, either a longer one or a shorter one. A shorter one is very convenient for me to use, so whenever I can, I use that. And then for cutting out the little angled pieces on the flaps, or maybe some additional areas on the elements in the album, I use my scissors. I like to use the Cutter Bee scissors because they have thin blades and very sharp tips. So I find them the best for this purpose. Now I will, as you can see, trim the little angled sections of the flaps, and I will create the notches on the pockets first. Then I will fold the flaps of each of the two pockets, and again you can either use your needle tool for scoring the lines on the flaps, or you can just use your bone folder and do this. Line up your ruler along the line of the future fold, and then lift the flap with your bone folder against the edge of the ruler. It's important to hold the ruler in place during this step so that the fold turns out straight and not angled. Now I will fold the flaps in and pass my bone folder on top of each one of them to make sure that the fold lines are crisp. Or you can use your needle tool and just score the future fold lines first. Mind the way you're holding the needle tool so that you don't scratch the paper. And then you can just fold the flaps. And again, make sure that you burnish on top of them with your bone folder. Okay, now I will take my distress ink and the distress tool, and I will distress the edges of the pockets and the edges of the belly band. Since I already have the card cut out, I will distress its edges too. And I will also have to distress the edges of the base page. Then I will unfold my page like so, and I will add the ink along the top section of the page that will form a pocket later, so that when we look into the pocket, we see the distressed edge at the top. Okay, so this is how it will be. Now we are ready to start adding the acetate to our belly band and the pockets. I have marked here with a pencil the size of the circle punch that we're going to use. So for the pockets, I'm going to use my 2-inch circle punch, and with the flaps folded, I will slide it into the punch and make sure that I align it up nicely and center it and punch out this circle. Now, because you folded the flaps, you will see that the punch will create the curved lines where they need to be, so that from the front you do not see any of the folded flaps. Okay, just wanted to straighten that piece of the paper. I'm going to do the same with the second pocket. And then for creating the openings on the belly band, I'm going to use the 1 1/4 inch circle punch, and I will the same way just make sure that I line up the opening on the paper with the opening on the punch. It's desirable to add some ink along the edges of the punched out openings. We're going to need a few pieces of acetate for covering up the openings from the inside, and for the pockets we're going to need 2 pieces that will measure, let's say, 2 7/8 by 2 3/4. I have 2 of the pieces here, and I'm going to glue them down so that they are quite close to the edge of the notch on this side, and they shouldn't reach all the way to the fold here on the opposite side. I'm going to take my art glitter glue, and I'm first going to apply a thin line of glue around the edges of the opening on the paper, like so. And then I'm quickly going to add the glue along the edges on the acetate piece. And now I will glue it down to the paper pocket the way that I explained to you before, quite close to the notch at this side, make sure that you center it the best you can between the flaps of the pocket, and use your bone folder and burnish. And this will be our first pocket here. We are going to repeat the steps for the second pocket. Now we will need a piece of acetate for our belly band too. And here I do not want the acetate to reach all the way to the top and the bottom edges of the belly band. I want to leave some space there for the glue, since we're going to attach it to our base page, and it's better that the paper is being glued down to paper, more secure. So our acetate piece will have to be the same width as the belly band, but a little bit shorter in length. In my case, the belly band is 1 5/8 wide, and then the length of the acetate piece that I'm going to need is about 5 5/8. Here is the piece of the acetate that I'm going to use. I'm going to work in the same way that I worked when attaching the acetate to the pockets. First, add the thin line of glue around the openings on the belly band. And I will add a little bit in between. And of course, add the glue around the edges of the acetate rectangular piece. And then attaching it to the back of the belly band. We will set these pieces aside for now and move to the next page from the ones that we prepared for today, and it will be the page with the tags. I'm going to use my long ruler for cutting the tags out. And as a matter of fact, before cutting them out completely, I will make sure that I score a line using my needle tool. I can score the line across the two tags simultaneously, because they're still attached to the paper and they're lined up there, so it's easy to score them together. We have that done. I will now fold the two parts of the tag. I make sure that I line up the corners, and I already have a score line here, but I still want to make sure that it's in the right place. So I'm holding the paper with my fingers and then use the bone folder for burnishing on top of the fold. Now we are going to add the glue and adhere the two layers of the tag together. I'll use my scissors for trimming the corners of each one of the tags. Next, I'm going to work on the circles, the reinforcement circles that I want to use for the tags. I wasn't sure if all of you will want to add the reinforcement circles. That's why I didn't create the additional circle on the tag there, because if you want to have your tags inside the pocket just like so, without any holes in the tags, then you can go ahead and do that. But if you want to add the reinforcement circles, then this is how you're going to do it. You're going to need a 1/2 inch circle punch for that, and your 1/4 inch punch. You're going to punch out the opening on the inside of each one of the reinforcement pieces. and then you're going to punch out the rest. Just line up everything and punch it out. Distress the edges of the little circle pieces. Next, you are going to find the center on the edges of the tags and mark a place for the reinforcement pieces to go onto. And I'm going to use my 1/4 inch circle punch and punch through both of the tags together, and then add the reinforcement pieces on top. Now when they're ready, distress the edges of the tags. Perfect, our tags are ready. I think we can go ahead and assemble a few things on our page. So I like to unfold it when I glue the pockets and belly bands down to the base page. The belly band will go on top of this side of the page, and what you're going to do is just add the glue to the paper sections which are not covered by acetate. And then just line up the images on the base page with the openings on your belly band, and also make sure that you line up the paper edges of the belly band and the base page so that they are straight. Also make sure that the numbers on the labels go in the right direction. But this is how it will look like. And next we're going to glue down our pockets. You can decide how you want to have them. I think I will glue them down like that. When you glue the pockets to the page, there is a trick that will help us slide the tags inside a bit easier. First, you will have to see where the tag will be glued down, and maybe even put the ruler there. Or you know what? I have a very handy thing for this purpose. This corner right here. And you know, the we used to have, before the wonderful stamping platforms from My Sweet Petunia and Tim Holtz, we had the stamp jigs. I think this is how it was called. So it was the exact acrylic corner that helped position the stamp perfectly. So now I'm using something similar for lining up the placement of my pocket on the page. And of course, you don't have to do it if you don't have the tool. You will just need to work a little bit harder and maybe marking the place for gluing the pocket down onto the page with a pencil. But when I have this tool, I think I'm going to use it. Okay, and I will just, as a precaution, mark a few dots with a pencil to make sure that I really have it in the correct place. I also need to put something heavy on top of the page so that it doesn't move. Now I'm going to apply the glue only along the short flap of the pocket, and making sure that I didn't move anything, I will glue it down on top of my base page like so. Okay, the image on the inside needs to be exactly under the opening of our pocket. Now I have this pocket glued down, and I will do the same for the second pocket. This is how it will look like. Now I want to add just really small pieces of clear tape in the corners. And why in the corners? Because you can see that if we tape along the edge of the flap, the tape is going to show through the opening on the pocket itself. So I want to add just little pieces of tape, really tiny, but I hope that it will be enough. Okay, so there, so that the tape doesn't go on top of the image with the fairy here. Okay, like that. And also on the top pocket there. You don't have to do it, but I think that I do want to mention it because it will just help to slide the tag inside the pocket easier. So I'm gluing down the pieces of tape at an angle so that they do not cover any parts of the image. And now I can add the glue to the longer flaps of each pocket and glue it down to the base page. Just like so. Okay, let's repeat it for the second pocket. Now we can try and slide our tags inside. And I think they slide in nicely. Here is our first page, almost ready. We only need to punch out the circles and put them aside from this page. And also you will cut out the elements, the fussy cut elements from the remaining page sections. This card will also have to stay out of the first page for now because we're going to use it in another section later. I want us to cut out the seed envelopes now. I will be using my ruler and a craft knife as usual. Once you're done cutting along the straight edges of each one of the envelopes, use your scissors for cutting out the rounded parts. Then score along the flaps and assemble your envelopes. When both of your seed envelopes are ready, you can tuck them behind the belly band on the page, like so. Okay, our page is almost complete. We have to cut out the large tag now. Once you cut the tag out along the edges, you can just fold it by matching the corners and burnishing the fold along the center. Now add the glue and miter the corners of the tag at the top. Distress the edges with the ink. I'm not gluing down the flap of the base page yet. We are going to do that later when we get to the stage of binding everything together. So I don't want you to add the glue to the flap just yet, please. Okay, so our first page is ready. You are now going to take your time and cut out or punch out the rest of the elements from the pages that we worked with today and set them aside, maybe in just a separate box or envelope for now. And in the next video, we are going to work on our second page in the album, so I'm excited for that. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask them in the comments below, and I will see you back tomorrow for the assembly of the page 2. Bye!